All right, let's go ahead.
All right, so we will go ahead and get started with our mastermind call for today. So the first thing is the homework that everybody had. So if you haven't watched the compensation video and done the STAR planner, then make sure that you've done that. And if you have, because you're already STAR at this point in time, make sure that you walk through it with one of your team members. And that was actually information from last week. And there was a few people that hadn't done that. So I go ahead and just pull that up right quick. That's not what I want to do. Where did it just put me? I have a black screen. I don't want a black screen.
I'm trying to pull that up also. Did it just go black for you?
Okay. I think I'm back, but I just keep going into the wrong section. Okay. All right, again, so under the grow section, we got the STAR planner. And then we also have information on the comp plan. So most people need some accountability. Most people need some tracking. So rather than just assuming that our downline and our teammates are going to do it, we want to sit down and go over the STAR planner with them in order to help the next person below us to reach STAR. So any other thoughts on the last section from anyone that's on the call?
Allow me to play catch up really quickly. Go ahead, say that one more time, Tashina.
Yeah, again, so that all has to do with what we went over last week. So just the STAR planner, people need accountability. They need a way to track. So making sure that if we're already hit STAR, that we're going over that STAR planner with our downline, because it gives them clarity. It gives them exactly what to do. And then making sure that we start to learn the comp plan as well. So that helps us with structure and going forward.
I do think that that's essential. I think we kind of got away from it for a while, and Vital 180 actually allows you to see when someone has actually completed the training as well. So I do think it's important to use that, because when we talk about, and I think at some point we do talk about this later in the coaching sessions, but you don't want to have to be the resource or the authority all the time. You want to be able to use a resource. And so things will move much faster for you when you can point a person to something like Vital 180 and say, go ahead and complete this training and get back to me when you're done. So that way you can have multiple people doing that all at once without having to spend a lot of time with each individual.
Alrighty. So if there's no other comments, we'll move into this section. So this section, we were talking about a duplicatable system. So we're continuing to talk about classes, how to invite people to classes. I did go through a couple chapters of game plan on how to have a successful class. And then we go into proper follow-up for care calls, which is, again, making sure that we're duplicating through our group. So what are some of the tools that everyone uses in order to invite people to classes? What are your favorite tools? Dana, Anthony, you want to go first?
You want to go or you want me to go? So Facebook is huge because I know Sarah Harnish uses Facebook and makes an online event, invites people, and then sends a personal message to them. What I've been finding more success with is just shooting them a text message and inviting them specifically to the event. And sometimes, like with the rally coming up, I just asked my wife for the graphic that we had for the invite for the rally and using that to send that to individuals. So if you have an online event, you can even screenshot the event and send them all the information if they're not on Facebook. but making sure that you're having personal communication with them and not just adding their name to a list for the event makes a huge difference.
Yeah, and I guess I'll add to that. It's so important that they get a personal invitation. If it's a general thing where a bunch of people are invited and you just assume that they're going to see it, it's probably not going to happen. Especially on Facebook, there's plenty of events or things that like people add me to, they invite me to, and then they're like, "Hey, did you see? I invited you to yada yada yada." And I'm like, "Nope, didn't see it at all." Or whatnot. So it is so important to make sure that you personally speak up and invite people. And then the one thing that I do also think is so important is especially when you're doing classes, it's so important that people are bringing people. So even if it's a brand new class, have some type of incentive as to, hey, bring a guest, get a sample oil pack or, a little goodie bag or something, because you don't want people coming by themselves. Like, fill up your car, come on, and enjoy the class, whether it's the first class or it's a class you've had quite a few, and maybe you have some people on your team that can also invite. I think that's so important. That way too, again, you're not tapping into all of the same people, but maybe some people that they know.
All right, good points. Andrea, you want to share with us? I know you're just having your first class, so what are some of the things that you're doing to promote your class? What do you think it's going to work the best for you? Oh, are you?
She's on.
Can you hear me?
Now
yeah,
we can.
Andrea.
Yeah, sorry, I've got gloves on. I'm doing wound care while I'm listening to the call. So, what I have to say, I really do love the way Vital 180 sets things up. It's so easy to do your invitations and then download them in so many different ways. So, with this class, it's my sister's friends who are coming. So I sent her both the JPEG and the PNG versions, so whichever one she downloaded, so she can send them out. And then I posted them to my Facebook and also to my Instagram, but I'm texting them to a few people that I know as well. And I did what Dana and Anthony said, of making sure that in those messages I say, look, bring somebody, don't just come by yourself, bring somebody with you, and if you do, I've got a special little gift for you, just a little incentive. So we haven't gotten any positive responses. I've gotten one who can't make it because she's got a memorial service to go to, but at least I know that they're going out and people are seeing them. And we still got a week and a half or so before it happens. So almost 2 weeks. We've got 2 weeks before it happens. So I'm not surprised that we haven't got any responses yet.
All right, sounds good.
I'm sorry, really quickly, can I chime in just one more point to kind of add to Andrea's point?
Yep.
Because Adam Green talks about this, and I think this is hilarious because now that she mentions it, sometimes when you are planning for a class and you're inviting individuals, there's all kinds of things that get in the way, and we call them excuses. Like I think it's going to rain that day, so I don't think I'm going to be able to make it, or my cat's not feeling good, so I don't think I'll be able to make it. But one of the things that he talks about is using that opportunity to turn that into a one-on-one. Because when we're talking about classes, like, you're going to book multiple classes and there's going to be people that cancel on you multiple times. You're going to keep inviting and they're going to keep having reasons why they can't attend. And so Adam just says, like, use that opportunity to say, okay, well, what works good for you? I have this day available or this day. Can we sit down for 30 minutes and just so I can show you what the class is about so that you can meet individually with them? So classes are great for reaching multiple people all at once, but don't give up on the individuals that don't come to maybe your first or second class. Just turn that into an opportunity to meet with them one-on-one.
Yeah, and I think we'll get a opportunity to continue to talk about that when we go to the section on follow-up as well. And then Sonia, I know you've had lots of successful classes, so what's been working good for you to have successful classes?
I don't really consider my classes successful. I am working on, but I want them to be successful. I want to be able to speak about the oils in a way where I'm compliant. You know, we kind of discussed that. I want to be compliant with my verbiage, and that's been kind of challenging for me because I just really want to just say what it really is, what they do, you know. But you got to be compliant. So what I'm trying to work on is verbiage, so that when I'm talking to people, when I get in front of a group of people, I'll feel competent at what I'm doing and what I'm saying with the oils in the kit. You know, I want to be able to present them. I listened to you yesterday, how you presented the oils, and you know, you do a very good job. So I think practice makes perfect. I have to get better at that as far as a class goes. I've had classes scheduled, and I don't know, maybe a couple of them we had pretty good attendance, and then maybe that was, I don't know, 50% of the time. The other percent of the time, we really didn't have anybody that showed up. But I like to, you know, from my contacts, I like to text them and set up one-on-ones. I'm just better with one-on-ones. I'm just being honest.
Okay, Sonia, but you said you didn't have successful classes, but so in those classes where you did have quite a few people, because to be honest with you, I feel like out of most of my team, you generally, when you have people come, you have a great number turn out and come. So what do you do when you have people that actually attend those classes? How do you invite?
Oh, how do I invite? Okay, so I send out a text message. I sent out a mass group text to all of my contacts that I have in my cell phone. And it's not I'll use like the flyers that you all may provide for me, or if I don't have a flyer, you know, like a cute little flyer, I'll just put the information in there. I put the time, you know, the date, the time, the location, and I'll send out a text, you know, and I'll put some verbiage in there to try to get people excited about what's going to be taking place there. And that's how I do it. I just send out a mass group text, and then as we get closer, I'll repeat the text and I'll add something additional to it, you know, just a reminder of the class. And sometimes I'll ask, you know, people to let me know if they're coming, you know, so, you know, I'll have some kind of ideal of how many people to expect. So that's how I generally do it.
So Sonia, you kind of hit on a good point though too. When you're preparing for your classes, you do the follow-up text like right before, after you do like your initial invite, because sometimes people do forget, plans change. But it's good for you to know what your turnout is going to look like. So it's great that you're doing those steps, because like Dana mentioned, when you do those things, you do have excellent turnout for your classes. And so that's actually great for everybody to take away from it, is making sure that we're reminding people a couple days out from the event that the event is still happening, where it's at, what they can look forward to learning, or you know, what they can look forward to enjoying by coming to the class, and kind of building anticipation for it. So that's great, Sonia. Continue to keep that up.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
So I definitely lean as much as possible on Vital 180. That's generally what I use in order to promote. And when I'm promoting, I definitely do every method absolutely possible. So one of the things Sarah Harnish says is it's good to have at least 2 weeks in advance when you're creating a class. So I have been trying to make sure that I have 2 to 3 weeks in advance for especially my large public classes. And I will have that out there on Facebook in a Facebook invitation for initial. But again, you add 500 people to that and only 2 or 3 of them are going to see it because they get an invitation every day. I then make sure that I send out postcards to the majority of people on my team so that they have something physical and tangible that they could put on their fridge if they choose to and have it. I then sent out probably a couple weeks or a week, depending on how long I have, the text message. So we have this right here where you can create your invitation text and it's all there for you with the information. And then about 2 days before, just depending on like who I'm inviting and things like that, it might be somewhere between 2 to 4 days before, I'll send a reminder text message, and then I'll also send direct messages via Facebook, probably within the last 48 to 24 hours. So when I'm inviting people, most of the time they are getting invited, especially if they're on my team and it's like a larger class and I'm wanting them to bring somebody, or it's a class that's not an intro class and so it's a good introduction to other product lines, they probably get at least 4 invitations from me, at least. So there's no doubt that the class is happening and they're getting invited. And one of the things that I really think that was a key that came out of the game plan for me is collaborating with other people. Sarah Harness says that once you do your first 6 months within Young Living and you do like your first 6 to 12 classes, you are going to get to a point where everyone in your close circle, your warm market has came that's going to come. You do have to do a one-on-one or do a drop-off kit or do something else to get to the rest of them. And so what you want to be doing is making sure that you're working with someone in your downline. And if necessary, if you don't have somebody in your downline that lives in your area that's gung-ho and doing it, cross-line. That's what we did this past Saturday. We collaborated with a cross-line person. And each of those, preferably 2 other people in your downline, are committed to inviting 50 people each. And when you do that, you have a much higher success rate for your classes. And so there's a lot of times where I decide to plug into Dana and Anthony's classes. And sometimes I have a guest that comes there and sometimes I don't. If that would have been my class and I was the only one inviting that day, it would have been a no-show class for me. Sometimes I collaborate with a different downline person, or like I said, this past Saturday, I collaborated with a crossline person. The last spa party that Dana and I did together, where we were both committed to inviting people, we had an amazing turnout. This spa party that we had on Saturday, where there was 3 of us committing to inviting, we had an amazing turnout. So that's another key that I think to having a successful class. Again, if you're 6 months into this, after that, you should always be collaborating with somebody else in order to invite, to make sure your classes are successful. And then that's another way for you to be duplicatable as well, because you then want to be teaching your downline to start working their 100 lists and to continue to invite people and to continue to follow up. And then eventually they're going to be the ones teaching some of the classes, and then you guys are both going back and forth. One other key that I think from the game plan and from Sarah Harnish as well is that you see that we have all of these classes on here, and she recommends that when you're starting out, because oils are at the center of what we do, and it really usually is better for people to start with the oils kit, you want to make sure your ratio is 3 intro to oils class, or even intro to Young Living. That's not a bad one because it does focus on the premium starter kit still, but gives you a little bit more information. You want to focus of the 4 classes that we talked about last week in order to progress. If your circumstances allow you to do 4 classes in a month, you can choose to go slower and only do 1 class a month. when you're doing that, you want to make sure that 3 of them are intro classes and only 1 is a different class. And until you reach silver. Once you're silver or above, then it's your job to do more education of your team, because you have 250, 350, 500 people on your team that needs the education and that maybe can't afford to have all the products you would need for a detox class or all the products you would need for a makeup class. And so then that's when you're plugging into your upline and making sure that you're promoting your upline's classes as if it's your own, and inviting your 50 people to their makeup class, to their detox class.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
think that's a good point. Because there's so much available, sometimes it can be easy to kind of get distracted, and we want to teach all these different classes and we want people to get educated. But Tashina, you kind of hit it on the head, because oils is at the center of what we do with Young Living. So, and most of the time, these people attending classes, it might be their first time attending the class. And so it's their first interaction with that kind of education. You also hit on something else I wanted to briefly talk about too. Reaching out to individuals, whether they are a business builder or not, and having them invite for your class. Because like Tashina mentioned, after 6 months, you know, if you've been hosting classes and constantly inviting, you've made it through your 100 names list, the people that have shown up to your classes are most likely going to be the people that you know have shown up for that time period. So Tashina talked about collaborating with those in your downline to host a class, but also the individuals that maybe have not been able to attend a class, or you haven't been able to get with, see if they'll host a class for you. We've found that that's been great, whether they're in Young Living or not. It's a great way to continue to build on your 100 names list and add people to that list, because whether that person that hosts the class for you signs up or not, it's still going to benefit you and your business. And then incentivize them, like maybe you give them a free oil or some type of gift bag or goodie bag or something like that for hosting. It's even better if they're a downline, because they're going to benefit from it. But even if they're not, it's a great way to utilize that individual's network, whether they're within Young Living or not. So think outside the box sometimes. Think about, who do I know that may not be interested in doing a business or joining Young Living, but maybe they'll host a class because they know and they love me. So maybe they'll host a class for me.
Yeah, I've definitely done that on several occasions. And the majority of the time, there has been a couple times where they haven't got their kit at that first class, but at least by the second class, if they host one for me, they do get their kit too. So I have collaborated with someone in order to just have a class, whether they're on the team yet or not, just because they want the information, or they're in the chamber and they want to be helpful or whatever. So that is definitely a good point. Any other thoughts or tips about having a successful class or event? And then we know that when we're talking about events, we're also talking about, vendor events, or like Anthony said, to make a class successful, that means great follow-up and doing a one-on-one with everyone that doesn't make it. And so however, Facebook classes, whatever is working the best for you, your personality, just making sure that we're following those same guidelines to make it successful. All right, so then the next section was, why involve your mentor in your class? So I thought that there were a couple of really good points that this little article brought out. And again, we want to be duplicatable, and we want eventually everyone capable of doing their own classes. But especially when you're starting out in your first 6 months, this gives some great ideas of why to involve your mentor in your first couple classes. And even as you continue to go through, at least invite your mentor to the classes, so that if they're available, they could always be there to support you. So Dana and Anthony, you want to start with any thoughts you had on this or why you think it's important?
So I think this one is huge because, and I think Sonia kind of touched on it, but she was talking about she doesn't feel like she's the expert. And the nice thing about involving your mentor is most of the time when you're hosting a class and you use your mentor, most people don't know whether the individual teaching the class is an expert or not. But it does give having that individual come teach your first class and work with you to help you teach classes. It really does help give you not only the structure of how to properly teach a class. So I know that Sonia was talking about, sometimes not always having trouble being compliant. Usually your mentor might be a little bit more well-versed in how to stay compliant and teach a compliant class. So that's a great avenue to use because, like Tashina mentioned, we want to be duplicatable. And so you want to learn from your mentor. Your people who have come to your class want to learn from your mentor because how Young Living is introduced to them is how people are going to perceive what Young Living as a company is and what it's like to deal with you and your upline. So I know if I was coming to a class, I want to meet the people that you're working with because if maybe they rub me the wrong way and it's not for me, or maybe we really gel and whether I like the product or not, maybe I gel with your upline and I want to join because I like your upline. Whatever the reason, it's just nice to have that support system there to kind of be your backup because we're there to help train you guys on how to replace us and be better than us within your business. So I think it's hands down probably one of the most important things, whether you're just starting out or whether you've been in for a while, to involve your upline because that's what they're there for. They're there for edification. They're there to be able to help and assist you, but they also validate that this company is about more than just you. There is a community of people who are involved within Young Living who are doing this worldwide. So I feel like it helps individuals see that aspect of it,
And actually, I want to read the beginning of this on here. So it says, let's face it, for 99% of the people that get involved with this profession, the first people you share with will most likely be those who you know well and are close to. For most of us, that is family and close friends. The problem with family and friends, they know us and all of our successes and failures. This isn't taking into account whether or not this is your first network marketing adventure you've approached them with. We all know how this conversation usually goes. Hey, sis, I just found this incredible company that has the best products of any other company out there. Followed by, isn't that what you said about the last one of these? What happened to that one? Our closest friends and family are typically our biggest supporters and our biggest critics. Often it is easier to listen with an open mind to a stranger than someone close to you, especially if there's a history of other opportunities. So the formula that they're suggesting is the first class should be taught by your mentor enroller with you giving an edifying introduction. So you're building them up. You're talking to them about, why they have the qualifications about this, what you love about them, etc. The second class should have shared teaching responsibilities. And this takes preparation on your part and part of the presentation. But since you've seen how it's done, you should do a little bit more. And then the third one should be taught by you with your upline mentor supporting. And then it just mentions this is not a rigid process. And so some people may need more than 3 classes before they fly. And then again, this is what you want to duplicate. So if you have a downline member that has expressed interest in inviting people and you're hosting classes, then you would want to do the same thing with them. And then we do realize that there are some people that are out of state. Your upline isn't there, so they can't physically be there. But there's still ways that you can do it. You can have a Zoom call. You can have them at the beginning and they can do their introduction, or they can pre-record an introduction. Like right now, Carrie and I did her first call as a Zoom call so she could have some support down there in Ecuador. And then for my rally, I recorded an introduction in Spanish. So any person in the future now who has a class in Spanish that maybe is in a different location, they could just use my introduction at the beginning of their class, say, here's some of the people that I'm working with. This person is a silver, et cetera, et cetera. So there still are ways to involve and edify your upline, and then, you know, promote, okay, this is why we got to go to convention, because we're going to meet all these awesome people that I've showed you their introductions, and addition to even more people that are successful, that have hit Royal Crown Diamond. It's another avenue to get people to convention that way as well.
And I have to say, I really appreciate having at least one person in my upline that speaks Spanish. Very helpful. So, you know, I consider myself special circumstances. So thank you very much.
Awesome. I'm so glad we can hear you today.
I couldn't hear you guys for the first half hour, so I have no idea what's going on. But anyway, I just jumped in.
Okay. So, well, you'll get the replay. So, Sanya, I guess any thoughts from you on how having your upline has been helpful for you, for those that will watch the replay?
I have a great upline, very encouraging, good reminders, good pointers. When like I say, I love doing one-on-ones. I'll have to get better with being consistent with the classes. I like how, you know, like you guys get together with the Zoom meetings, and when I, you know, actually discipline myself to connect, I learn a lot, like the setting of the classes, at least a class a week. Me, I like to do the one-on-ones in between classes to kind of like follow up. I just like how educated you all are with the products, so that when I have questions, I can come to you. I also like the fact that you guys always talk about Vital 180. And so lately I've been talking, you know, with one particular person in my downline, trying to encourage her to do, you know, to go on Vital 180, and she's been doing it. So just with all the encouragement, you know, she and I have been making plans to get together so that we can, you know, become more, I'm struggling for words, but better at, you know, presenting the product, you know, so that we can, you know, have more successful classes. That's what I want to do. I want to have more successful classes. So, you know, with your help, I'll get better with that.
Alrighty, Andrea.
There we go. Sorry, the screen likes to flip on me. I wanted to thank you for those ideas, because I was exposed to Young Living from Monica on Instagram. I had never attended a class. I wasn't on Facebook hardly at all. And I just, you know, I had asked her some questions, IMing back and forth. And so I hadn't attended a class. And the only class that I actually had was when Monica came out to teach a class for me, which I guess was my first class. But this class that I'm doing in 2 weeks is the very first one after that. And Monica's 6 hours from me. And so when I was reading through in 180, Vital 180, all about that process, I was like, oh, that would have made it so much easier to have that mentoring. I can really see the wisdom of that. And I was thinking, well, how can I do that? So I really appreciate, Tashina, you coming up with, you're mentioning those ideas. Hold on a second. Sorry, lungs aren't cooperating today either. Those ideas of how I can get support for my class. I think I'm actually going to be okay, but I would love to have the feedback. So I was, even mulling in my mind about videotaping it or something like that so that I could get some feedback on it. But it's definitely doable. But following that process, I can see where any of those of us who are more shy or don't feel like we're ready or not educated enough, that process would really foster feelings of confidence.
Wonderful. Carrie, anything else you wanted to add?
Yeah, I was wanting to say how much I appreciate having an upline, in these classes, because a little bit of my story, I've used the Young Living products, oils for like 15 years, but I never thought about getting into it because part of it, I didn't know any of the business angle. I talk about it, I use it, people see me, and I just mention it. And now I signed up last year, but this year was my goal. I've done 2 classes already, and I'm going to do another one. It's going to be tonight, but I guess it's going to be tomorrow. So I have knowledge about the product, but not about the company and how it works. Like, I didn't know to tell my people, oh, you need to sign up for Essential Rewards right away. And sure, that will benefit me, but how much it will benefit them. And I got one girl, she wants to go off Essential Rewards, and I think I got her talked into staying on, and just all those things in the background that I didn't know. And having you guys here, and of course the 180 setup is really, really, really helpful. And I feel a little bit isolated, and I should probably join some team down here in Spanish, because that's who I'm talking to, is people in Spanish here. But I got you guys right now, so I really, really appreciate it. So thanks a lot. That's what I wanted to say.
Awesome. All right, then the next section was talking about follow-up. There was a video on that, and it was talking about follow-up with prospects and then throughout the process. And I know Carrie had gave us a great idea that she had heard last time about making sure that once someone gets their kit, following up at day 3, day 10, and day 30. But we'll go around and I guess just let me know from either the game plan or from GoPro or from whatever tool you used, as well as this video, what were some of the tips and tricks or triggers that it reminded you that's super important for follow-up? And then Anthony and Dana, you guys want to go first?
So I think this is the part where most people drop the ball, right? Just because we have, usually when we first get started, we have a hard time closing because we don't know what to say, or sometimes we don't want to ask for the sale, so to speak. But I think follow-up is the most important. We need to follow up whether they've attended a class or a one-on-one, whether they got a kit or not. There needs to be some type of follow-up because, like we talked about earlier, if they weren't able to make the class, then let's set up a one-on-one. What if they came to the class and they wanted to get a kit, but they didn't have the means to get started right away? We still need to do the follow-up to walk them through. And what I generally do is I ask the question, if they're not ready to get started then, when do you see yourself getting started? And take note of that so that we can follow up with them on that day and say, hey, last time we spoke, I know you were talking about getting your kit, getting started on this day. Can we get you set it up and rolling right now? And if they say yes, great, get them started. If they're still not ready, okay, all right, when do you see yourself getting started, and continue on with that process. The other aspect of it is when a person gets started, I know that Carrie mentioned she didn't know about this aspect, but it's so important to get them on Essential Rewards because for a minute, I'm going to talk from a business perspective. From a business perspective, we have a product that is consumable. So what happens when a person gets their kit, and if they're using their oils and products like they should be, they run out. They need to order more. But we want to get them in the habit of ordering before they run out. And so they need to be on Essential Reward. They need to place their order, and they need to place their order on Essential Rewards. So are we following up with them to let them know that that's the case and show them how to do that? Are we following up with them to make sure they know how to use the oils that come in their kit? Because a lot of times, I know Dana and I, we provide pen and paper at classes, but there's only maybe like one or two people that might write down stuff to remember from the class, and a lot of people, they forget. So I know, unless you want to mention about the text campaigns, I know Dana's really, really good about following up with the text campaigns afterwards. Did you want me to elaborate on that, or you want to share that? Okay. So Dana's very good about, for the first 10 days that a person has their kit, or is it 7 days?
I do 30 days.
30 days, I'm sorry. But Dana literally sends out a graphic that has one specific oil for that day and ways that they can use that oil. And she does it for 30 days. We have a Google Voice account, which is free, by the way, that you can literally go through, add your people's names to it, put the message in there, send it out, takes 5 minutes, and they've got, yep, Tashina just pulled it up, the oil tidbits, so that they can remember. It's a reminder for them to use their oils that day. So, I mean, follow-up is not only important for getting a person started, but it's important for keeping a person, because in network marketing, you do get a lot of attrition. And so it is fighting a battle of people who eventually fall off and stop ordering. You're going to get that. That just comes with the territory. But when you make sure that your person is educated, not only on the product, but how the business works, when you make sure they have all the resources that they need to be able to use their product effectively and to share, you're going to have less people falling off, and you're going to see more growth in your business because they're going to stay on Essential Rewards.
The other thing I'll add to that, along with all of the great Vital 180 tidbits, I also add in a few of my own graphics and notes, because I also want to make sure people understand that it's not just oils. So I go deeper into Ninja Red, like, hey, we got nitros, we got zings. I go deeper into like, hey, we got supplements, we got, body care, makeup. So I go through, I mean, I don't go specifically with each makeup like you would with the, supplement or anything like that. But I do say, hey, we have oil-based supplements that are more bioavailable, they're superior. And so this is how you're going to switch out the vitamin C that you're already taking. This is how you're going to switch out. So then they know specifically, oh my goodness, like I'm already taking a multivitamin, so now I'm going to take this instead of what I'm already using. So I outline all of that, and then I also outline different events that we have coming up. So I've been talking about the rally. I've been talking about, some of these other things, because that way, again, they can be a part of the community and know everything that's going on.
So just to add to that, when I was doing, I actually have to get back to doing this because I got a new phone and I got to figure out how to schedule a message when it doesn't go as a group message. But mine was always 21 days too. And mine always had a graphic for the Essential Rewards. It always had this graphic for here's the Thieves line. It always had a graphic for now the Savvy Minerals, for the skincare, one of these graphics so that you can cook with. Some of the graphics I get actually from youngliving.com. I don't create any graphics myself, don't have time for it. And I always do whatever our upcoming event is. So you're always going to get some information about an upcoming event within that campaign, something about Essential Rewards, and something about how you need to go. My very last text message is the graphic about Vital 180, telling them this is where you can go get more information if you loved this information. And then the March promos, stuff like that. So mine always definitely was beyond what was sitting here. All right, Sonia, things that you do to follow up?
what do I do to follow up?
Yeah, I'm loving these little tidbit ideas. I've been doing something similar. I got a little WhatsApp group, girls that have signed up down here, and I try to educate, each oil that's in the kit, but I really should do more personalized, and that's kind of what my thing tomorrow was going to be tonight, but isn't the stress away? And I'm like, and what else? No, that's about it. I'm like, what?
Right.
Go ahead, Sonia.
Sonia, if you're talking, we can't hear you right now.
She's unmuted. Well, maybe we can double back to her. You want to try to hit Andrea and see, have Andrea chime in?
Yep. Andrea, any thoughts or anything either from listening to it that you got or anything that you do that's successful with follow-up?
I haven't really had any experience, but I really appreciated the lessons that were taught this week, and some of the information that Brenda had brought out about how, 5 to 12 contacts usually is where 80% of our sales come in. So, I didn't realize it was that high. And so the importance of continuing to follow up really hit home. But I do like the ideas of following up with them once they get their kit, because I know I didn't touch mine for the first week until I had a little tummy upset. And my most recent member who joined had used one of her oils, and I asked her, well, are you enjoying, because she was so excited to get her kit. She got her kit and she was bouncing off the ceiling. She texted me, it's here, it's here, it's here, it's here. And I said, well, get into it, read through. She read through all the materials, she absorbed everything, and then let the kit sit. It just really made me laugh. I thought, you were so excited. She goes, I know, but I don't know what to do with it. I said, well, you just read all that information and it gave you ideas. She goes, I know. And so I started giving her little hints. I see her twice a week usually. Fortunately, we've had some bad weather, so I've missed her a few times, but I see her twice a week. And I asked her one day, I said, did you bring your peppermint oil with you today? And she said, no. I said, you could have put some in your water you're drinking. She goes, I never thought about that. I was like, really? It was one of the first things that we talked about. She goes, I know, but I didn't think about it. So, it's kind of funny that even the people that you expect will pick up and do may not. So we got to keep that enthusiasm going. So I did not see those graphics that you just showed us. I'm going to use them now. I think they look fabulous. And I had given a little gift to somebody, Young Living. Somebody actually gave it to me, and it was the perfect thing, so I re-gifted it. Young Living makes a little gift with 3 oils in it: peppermint, thieves, and lavender, I think. And a little information about how to use those 3. So all of this talk is made me think, wait a minute, contact Donna, follow up on that, see if we can develop that into something else.
Yeah, I definitely think that's an excellent point. And some of the other tools that we'll get to talks about it. And I mean, I can honestly say there've been so many people. It's, as Anthony said, that this is probably where we drop the ball the most. And when I think about some of the people that I would have thought have been on my team and things like that, can I honestly say that there's been someone that I've actually followed up with 12 times? I don't know if there is anyone that, but I know that there's a lot of people that I have followed up a lot, maybe 6 times. And I've never had anyone say, stop contacting me. Like it in this whole 3 years, I've had people that have bought their kit occasionally, and it's very rare. There's probably only 2. I promise you, there are probably only 2 that they bought their kit. And as Anthony says, that's just happens. Like I remember one of the first videos I listened to from Jen Springer, she's like, when people buy their kit, and if you have 100 people on your team, 20% of them are never going to do anything, and then they're going to act offended when you try to contact them and you're like, why did you even buy your kit? 20% of the people will get educated to the point that they actually do something with it. And the other 60% in the middle, you constantly have to educate them and remind them. And little by little, those people will come along. And so there's only been like 2 people that already had their kit that eventually said, stop contacting me. The rest of the people, whether they're prospects or already on my team, don't get any negative feedback. And occasionally a lot of them say, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I keep inviting me to stuff. I can't believe I can't come again. Keep inviting me. Sometimes I do get text backs like that. So, and then one of the things that she mentioned following up in all ways possible. So again, that's what I try to do when it comes to follow up, in addition to how I do it with classes. I know that there's some people that have opted out of the emails in Young Living, so I will email them certain things like promos, and I know only 2% of people open their emails, so that's not the primary way that I do it. I send postcards if I have enough information. I really do try to send postcards to the majority of my teammates at least every other month. I send text messages on promos. I send Facebook messages. So I, again, as I do with my classes, I try to follow up as much as possible. All right, Sonia.
Hello.
We can hear you.
Huh?
Go ahead. We can hear you.
Oh, good. Okay. Sorry, I wasn't there earlier. I had to go do something. So I'm back. And the question was, what do I do for follow-up, right?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So what I do is I send out a text message with ideas on what can be done with the oils. And I always try to include, these ideals are like recipes, formulas, however you want to call it. And I try to include in the recipes or formulas the oils that are in the kit, at least 2 oils that are in the kit, so that they can use the oils in the kit, because I want them to use the oils. And also, and so usually the recipes have some of the oils in the kit, and then it'll have some other oils that are not in the kit, which will encourage that person to, get online and, look up that oil, and purchase the oil. So I like to do that. I like to send out recipes. I like to send out pictures of different essential oil books that I've bought that provides recipes, because the whole thing about getting the kit, like you guys were saying, is that once they get the kit, they don't know what to do with the oils. They don't know how to use them. So I'm always sending out, again, recipes, pictures of books. And then I like I said, I want to get better at providing information on how the individual oils can help the different body systems, so that, like you say, about educating the person, I want to get better at that. So I've been trying to work on that as well. I have one girl that I recently sold a kit to. and sending the recipes to her, and she's been very, very appreciative of it. She always texts me back and tells me that she really appreciated the information and she's gonna try that, or I'm gonna try this or I'm gonna try that. So that's what works for me.
Alrighty, the last tool that was mentioned here is the vital questions. So this is a really good tool for you to make sure that you're following up with your new enrollees. So it just gives you some things that you want to make sure that they all know about. And then there's a couple, now we use the Itovi scan. So unfortunately for those of you that are, distant, if you're with us at convention, you'll be able to get, because there's a lot of people up here that have their Itovi scans. Again, reference materials, do they have the app downloaded? Oily tools, if you guys don't know what that is, that's actually a business tracking tool. I think I got it when I was STAR. It's not really that necessary at STAR, but if you need more information on it, you can definitely message and we can talk about that. TaxBot, if you're not using some other tool to track your mileage and expenses for taxes, is also very good. So again, this is just a guide for you to be able to follow up. So that's all that we have for this week. So then for next week, what we're going to be going through. Ooh, resume share. Okay, my Excel is not cooperating, so I'll pull it up in here. So just as we're wrapping this up, so this is all the information that you need to go STAR. So to go STAR and to maintain STAR. So we've all gone through this information. Our goal is to make sure that as many people in our downline goes through this information, goes through these tools, and are able to get to STAR. That's how we have success, is to duplicate this in our team. So again, if we are applying all of this, if there's some videos you missed, make sure you go back and go through them. If there's some tools you haven't looked at, make sure you go back through them. And then your whole goal is to get everyone that you can to get through the STAR training and hit them STAR. If you can get 4. Yep.
Okay, real quick, I was just going to say, adding towards that, because I was just having a conversation with my mother-in-law earlier today, and if you aren't duplicating, if you aren't helping other people help people, then you just merely have a job, right? So there's nothing really different than what we're doing here than your regular 9-to-5 type job. So it's so important to have leverage and be able to mentor and help other people do what you are doing. It's not enough for you to be selling kits. It's not enough for you to be having classes, but it's so important that the people on your team are doing those things as well.
Very true. So what we're going over prior to our next call is the live section. So again, we're always educating ourselves first about our products, because that grows our love for our products and it just makes it easy and natural for us to share everywhere we go. And there's probably a lot of things that we can always learn. Like me, I challenged myself one time to do a pet class because I don't have pets. I'm allergic to pets. So that was something I need to learn about. So there'll be a lot of information. And then here, Sonia, something that you've been looking for, how to write your story compliantly. So we have a guide for you to do that, because once you're going for Senior Star, you're definitely sharing on a regular basis. The believe section, so there's a bunch of tools. So Carrie, you were asking for a list of books to read. You already had 2 from the other section. There's a DVD here. There's these 2 books. And then actually Strength Finders is another book. So here's your reading list. There's tons of stuff for you to continue to go to. And then we're gonna go through the effective communication portion of the share. So definitely start this right now, because as you can see, this video is 63 minutes. So I mean, if you guys got 30 minutes right now, try to knock out the live section, because it's only got a 3-minute video, and then you'll be ahead on there. So we're going to be going over all of this information and saying what tool we liked, how it helped us, and then talk about this effective communication in our stories, basically. And then when I get the Excel spreadsheet up, I will copy and paste that, exactly what we're going to do. All right. We are 1 minute over. Any last thoughts from anyone?
Rally.
Oh yes, rally.
So we're still promoting that. That is April 7th from 2 to 6. Doors open at 1. So if you have not had an opportunity and you stay in the Metro Detroit area, go ahead and purchase your ticket. Tickets are $15, but guests as always are free. So I encourage everyone, purchase your ticket. Get someone there or fill a car and get there because we're going to have a good time. It's going to be some great education. There's always great announcements that come from the rallies as well. So that's the next big event that's happening in the area.
All right. Thanks, everyone. And thank you, everyone who watches the replay. Just remember, it's not enough to watch the replay. We got to do this homework. And we got to help other people hit star. That's how we become successful. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.